Good morning, everyone. Morning. So I'm going to start with an apology. There will be bad German pronunciations of particular towns and cities in Germany. I will pronounce them incorrectly, I know. I can't pronounce English correctly half the time. So you can just laugh at me, it's okay. I will be laughing also and crying a little bit. So I hope everyone has internet access at least to get to Twitter. If not, then send yourself a text when we get to that section. It's the same thing, really, right? I'm kind of an interactive speaker, so I like interactions. So to get the day started, I want you to put your hand up if it's your first conference, PHP conference. That's amazing. Everyone turn around, give these people one more clap. Welcome to a PHP community conference. Okay, how many people here attend a local PHP meetup? Awesome, that's a lot of you. The people who didn't put your hand up, find your local one and go to it. In Germany itself, can you guess how many meetups there are that are PHP related? So PHP meetups in Germany. 20? Most people have done 20, 25. Since it started, there's been 19 different user groups, PHP user groups in particular. Can anyone guess when the first one started? 80-something? Was PHP around then? Really? Gosh, I feel young. Anyone else? 95, 96? All right. The first one in Germany, can anyone guess where it was? Cologne? Munich? Berlin? All of you are wrong. So I did my homework yesterday, like you do. Always do your homework at the last minute, right? And the first one, I just realized I don't actually have my speaker notes, so this is going to be fun, because I now have to memorize the links, the locations. So this one is Hanover. It's Hanover. I was going to say Hamburg, and I realized it's the other one. Begins with H. And it started in 2001. This is the very first one. And it was the first one by 2 months. It started in April 2001. In 2001, in the German community, there was also another two, Frankfurt and Hamburg. And then in 2002, yes, please group your local one, then Munich became a thing in 2002. And from 2002, it wasn't until 2006 that Dortmund, thank you. I was like, I can't pronounce this one. Started as well. 2007, 2008, still the same group, set of groups. 2009, you get Lysac. Is that correct? Lysac? You can all teach me German later. In 2010, 21% of the user groups that have happened in Germany happened in 2010, which is pretty impressive, 4 user groups. So we've got Rheinhessen, Berlin, Stuttgart, and Erlangen, Nuremberg. Oh my gosh. This is the first time I've done this talk that's not a UK-based one, so I'm like shaking right now. I feel like my German geography is getting better every second. My cousins will be proud. In 2011, same set of groups. 2012, there is the web Düsseldorf, yes, which doesn't by name sound like a PHP user group, but its roots in 2009 started as PHP Düsseldorf, which is why it's on this list. So 2013 turns up, and we have one of the PHP Cologne, is that right? And then 2014, we have another set of groups, which includes Runzenberg. You can read it. And, oh my gosh, it's the one in Mannheim. It's something region. I did region, yes. It's a very long word. So yes, the one in Mannheim. I'm so sorry that I've forgotten what the actual full name is. Someone will tell me later. I've never done a talk without speaker notes either, so this is fun. And then we had, in 2015, Dresden. And then we had also Koblenz and Munster. In 2016, we gain 2 user groups, but also lose 1. So if you watch this slide change carefully, Koblenz only happened for 1 event, which is unfortunate, but you never know, it might come back. But then we also got Karlsruhe, and then in 2017 we get another PHP Cologne, which basically means you're really spoiled in Cologne. And in 2018 we see 2 of the user groups cease up. So that is a history of user groups in Germany that I managed to find on the internet, which wasn't easy because everything was in German. And what I think is really interesting, regardless of where you are in the world, is that the issues that people have and the things that we do at user groups are about the same no matter where you are in the world. Something that's similar to the user groups in the UK, all these user groups are organized by volunteers, which is an important factor to consider. We have to consider the fact that volunteering isn't just volunteering to do things at an event like this, but it's a method of contribution to the PHP community as a whole, to our ecosystem. If you think about it, it's the way PHP is built. It's built by volunteers spending their time at home or at work, building features and improving the language so that we as developers can actually improve our daily work life. And if you go 1 step further, actually it's not just PHP, but all the frameworks, libraries, and languages we use day in, day out, if you think about it, most of those are volunteer-driven, and people don't get paid to do this. Yet it affects all our day jobs, if you're in our industry. If you're not, welcome. You should join us. There's loads of jobs going, I promise you. If you look at JavaScript, front-end, HTML, CSS, big data operations, servers, so many of these are actually just people helping each other out. So why do we choose to go to our local PHP user groups? For some people, it's a way to improve their knowledge, get better at their job. And that's a really valuable thing, because as someone who's now on this stage, I started my career at my local user group as a student who didn't really understand much about PHP. So my first question to the PHP community was, why are arrays array pop and array pull instead of array push and pull? I know the answer now. It has taken me 8 years, not. But everyone's new at some point. If you look at the back end of a user group, a lot goes on behind the stage that a lot of people don't realize. So this is a list. It's not a comprehensive list, which most user groups will do, and what most organizers will do per month. And if you have a user group that has only 1 organizer, that's all the tasks they're doing, if not more, to run your user group. And before we even look at the list of things they have to do, there's also an issue about cost. There is the cost of time, but there's also the financial cost as well. So things that a user group might be spending their money on includes things like meetup.com. It's not free. Every user on a meetup costs money. People don't seem to realize this. Domain registration, all these little things, they all add up, and unless they're lucky and they have a company sponsorship that is consistent, it is a well-known fact that meetup organizers will pay this stuff out of their own pocket for the greater good of the community. If you actually do some numbers, it's roughly about 200 euros a month Remember, there's 12 months in a year, and if you look at how old some of those user groups are 17 years old. 17 years of this cost. So why do organizers bother to do this? Why do they try and do this? I did a survey about November, December last year, where I asked user group and conference organizers who are doing community events why they organize their events. And I want to share with you some of the results from that survey. So one of the questions I ask is, why do you organize your event? And I just realized that I changed some of my quotes into German, and I don't have the English translations on them, so this is going to be fun. So Benjamin from PHP Munster said, there was no user group in my area. It was a simple, I want a user group. Claudio said they wanted to bring people together who worked with PHP. Somebody else said initially it was to improve their resume, but later they felt like they were contributing to the PHP ecosystem, and currently it's an obligation. An obligation is an interesting word. It feels like you have to do something, but do they really have to do this? There's many issues around organizing events. I've been there and done that, so I can definitely tell you from the bottom of my heart. You debate whether it's a bug or a feature, just like when you're at work and you're debating if this feature request is really a feature or if it's a bug. And I'll let you decide whether it's something that we need to improve on as a group, and it's a bug that we need to fix, or if it's just an enhancement or a feature that we can live without. So when it comes to priorities, in this survey, I asked how many user groups went on hiatus at some point. And if you see there, 36.7% went on a hiatus. And there was actually a group of people who were not sure because they had taken over the group and didn't know the history of the group. When I asked what was the most common reasons for the hiatus, lack of speakers, organizers were not available, or no one offered to help, or lack of venue were the most common things that people highlighted. When groups were disbanded, the reasons included organizers getting too busy, moving away, or there was no support from the local user group. When asked what they were struggling with, attendees, speakers, diversity, sponsorship, organizers, ideas, they were all things that were common no matter where these answers were coming from around the world. How many people have a fear of getting up and speaking in front of a public audience? You are not alone. I guarantee you it, because I'm shaking right now. Stefan, I can't remember what you said here, but for the German people, you can read it. Always thinking on your toes. Would you like to translate it for me quickly?
It's hard to motivate people to give a talk.
It's hard to motivate people to give a talk. Andreas, I think, said something similar. I'm going to assume he did. Matt Brunt in the UK was an attendee of his local user group, and he said that he had been going to user groups and giving talks so that he could improve his confidence in speaking in groups, both in public and at work, which is an interesting idea. The idea to use your user group to improve a skill that you need both at work when you're facing your clients, but also to help the local community. It has resulted in me getting a better job, because there's nothing like trial by fire in front of an audience that you know understands the technology. So how many people here are on Twitter? That's most of you, and if you're not, it's up to you if you want to join in or not. I really hope the internet works. So I want to play a game of Tweet the Blank. It's kind of like Cards Against Humanity, but more safe for work. So get your phones out. I'm seriously, get your phones out. And then you're just like, no, I don't want to play this game. I can see you. It's fine. All right, are you ready? Yes, okay. Using the hashtag PHPDD18, I would like you to tweet the blank for the next, it's only 3 cards. In the last 6 months, I have learnt that, tweet the blank. Okay, let's see. Tweet the blank. What have you tweeted? PHPDD18. Latest. Oh, you just tweeted PHPDD18? Come on, like, actually answer the question. Really? Engineers, always finding a way around it. So someone wrote, managing people is harder than coding. I totally agree. I recently learned that too. Okay. Hopefully more of you are in the middle of tweeting. Second question that I would like you to answer. In the next 6 months, I want to learn blank. Tweet the answer. Seriously, I just don't see phones out. Why are no people playing my game? See a handful of tweets coming in. And the third one that I want you to tweet out about is, I wish my past self had known about blank. All of you have learned something, realized something as an engineer that you probably wish you had learned earlier. So what was that thing? A lot of people looking curious and thinking about it, which is good. It's good. Just give you another 30 seconds. All right. If you haven't tweeted them out, that's fine, but you know what you would have answered in your head. Now, every answer that you've just given is either something you can go and learn in the next 6 months and then talk about at your user group, or you have already learnt and wish you already knew, therefore you can also tell everyone else at your local user group. So nearly every person in this room has something to share at their local user group. Correct? Yeah. I have a little brother. That's what his response was, so I just assume you're all going to respond the same way. All right. If you really could not answer those questions, then you probably know someone who could. Someone who shared something at work that was pretty cool that you were interested in. So if you do know someone that has an interesting story to share, introduce them to the organizers. So you don't have to give the talk, you just recommend someone else to give the talk. And what the amazing thing is that, especially when storytelling or experience telling, is that you can't be told you're wrong, because every experience is unique to yourself, to your work situation, to the way you think. So sharing that, what you quickly learn is other people have hit the same problem, and could have, if you had shared that problem earlier, would have probably told you the answer. So sharing is caring. When I asked the organizers what they wish people knew about event organizing, don't take everything for granted. There is always people putting in a lot of work and commitment. Help is appreciated. Matthias said that. Antonius, this is the Midlands PHP user group in the UK, finding the right theme, subject, or talk for the audience is never easy. Benjamin wrote a load of words in German that I asked him to translate and didn't write into my speaker notes. But you can read this. I will translate these also into English next time. And Andy in Essex, I think, summed it up really nicely. That it's a fair bit of hassle and you don't get much thanks. Which is true. They're doing this every month. And if they've been doing a user group for 18 years, that's a long time. When I asked them what would make their organizing easier, Claudio said, "It always makes it easier for me when speakers and companies volunteer by themselves, not having to ask, but actually receiving help." Andrea said, "More time for myself and being nearer to the venue would be helpful." Matthias said, "When people come forward and offer us talks, it's the same thing." One of the most helpful things. And remember, you just all tweeted or thought about talks that you could give, so you can help out. And I think Bonya in Varna said it the best. More help. People stepping up as speakers and co-organizers. How many of us work in a company that sponsors their local meetup? The amount of hands that are going up is lessening and lessening every time. Thank you to everyone so far who has done this. I hope you continually do this, because without you, it's harder for the organizers. Ben in Warwickshire in the UK said, "We could do with more sponsors to fund certain things." They're paying out of their own pockets as organizers to keep things going. That's how much they care about that user group. And how many of us actually contribute to different parts of the PHP ecosystem? People contributing to the user group is a super valuable thing. Similar to open source, a user group lives by contributors, which can be developers or companies. When I asked the organizers what made a difference, if there was a situation where someone was helpful, Rowan mentioned a co-organizer started helping by being helpful informally first. They helped start discussions, just talk to each other, and that helped build the user group and the community around in Brighton. Claudio said just ideas would be helpful, and also volunteers. Benjamin said something about his co-organizer ran the testing event, which meant that it was really helpful because he didn't have to do anything, which is always helpful. Every single person in this room could help set up an event. It doesn't mean that you have to be at the event itself. There are plenty of things that happen before the event even starts. So if you're at you can just tweet something or help organize or find a speaker. That helps set up the event. It lessens the burden. Having additional people to handle the drinks and putting them in the fridge and setting tables up was all that Craig wanted at PHP London. Or if you're at the user group, maybe help clean up, especially if you're using office space. It's only polite to help clean the area that you have been given. Frederick said it pretty neatly. People who help clean up are pretty cool. And I agree with him, because the small acts have a big effect on the way organizers who are doing this day in, day out feel about their community. There are other ways that you can help. Being a greeter. How many people here know about Toastmaster? A handful of you? Cool. So Toastmaster, to everyone else, is this organization and community where you can improve your speaking skills. So it's like training to be a speaker or a better speaker. I probably need to go to one of these. But what's really cool on the Toastmaster website is that they have this concept of a greeter's role. And the idea is to welcome everyone to the club meeting and blah, blah, blah. And what you can really read is the greeter's role is welcome to everyone in the club meeting, particularly visitors and people who are new. It doesn't matter that it's 2 Toastmasters. Making everyone feel welcome at our club is important, as it may be the start of their PHP journey. And it can be as simple as saying, "Hi, my name is," insert name. I think everyone can do that, right? Right? So you can start a conversation. Now, I know historically, the meme is that engineers don't like talking to each other, blah, blah, blah. So to help you, you can get your phones out and take a picture of this. Here's a bunch of questions I basically, and I'm sure you will notice today, go to help start conversations. If you find it hard to talk to strangers, take a photo of this and use it. It pretty much is just, everyone's in the same boat. Feel free to use it. I use it all the time. If you're in the UK, if you want to talk about weather, people will talk about weather for like a good half an hour. Keeps the conversation going perfectly. I'm sure in Germany you have another topic that everyone likes complaining about. There is another thing that you can do. Has everyone taken a photo? Is everyone happy? Ready? Yep. Great. Is the Pacman rule. How many people here know about the Pacman rule? Oh, cool. More than I expected. Fantastic. So people who know about the Pacman rule can help start this today. So the Pacman rule, for everyone else who doesn't know it, is this idea when standing as a group of people, always leave room for one person to join your group. So the TLDR of that is stand like Pacman. And the idea is today, at this conference, there are lots of people, including myself, who don't know everyone here, doesn't know the community. So you can invite them to join your group by leaving a room in your group for them to stand into. So maybe you'll meet some new friends today. Maybe you'll meet a future colleague. That's totally up to you. Other ways you can help as well. We treat and share the event. You might think you only have 100 followers or whatever, and it's completely pointless. But sharing the event, like I said before, is caring. You don't know who in your followers list doesn't know about this event that you're going to. So tweet that you're going. Are you going to this event? Are you going to PHPDD? Organisers find this very useful because you're helping with marketing their event to other people, so you make it popular. You can also share your ideas. All of us have ideas of things we wish our user group would do. All of us go to user groups and complain about something in our heads. It's just natural. But instead of complaining in our heads and never telling anyone, why don't we do something about it by telling someone about it and coming up with a solution together so that we can make our user groups better for everybody? There are, as you've seen, lots of small ways to help out. If you need a reminder, here's a list. I feel like doing this. But the most important thing about helping out or being part of this community, or the larger PHP community, or even the larger engineering community, is to have fun. So please, for the rest of the day, have fun at PHP Dresden. Thank you.